So now remember when I told you that Steve Jobs was originally one of the co-founders of an Apple in 1976 with Steve Wozniak, sorry. But then he left the company in 1985 after the power struggle with the board of directors, remember? And then he went on and he made Next, and then they made Pixar and blah, blah, blah. Well, in 1996, what happens? Apple's really struggling. They're looking for new leadership. Steve Jobs had started Next, and he was asked to come back and help turn the company around. He said, right back, motherfuckers. Y'all needed me. That's what he said. He said, y'all needed a motherfucker. Y'all out here ain't doing shit without me, bitch. Steve Jobs walked in there in his Levi jeans, New Balance sneakers, and mock turtleneck and said, Daddy's here. Daddy's home. Now, Next had developed an advanced operating system that Apple acquired. Apple bought the operating system to Next for $429 million just to get Jobs back. So Jobs not only made Apple, then he made Next, and then the software Apple bought for $429 million. This guy's a genius. He's just printing money everywhere. Abdul Fattah, you fucked up. So Jobs agreed to come back to Apple as an advisor, and soon then he became the interim CEO, replaced Gil Amelio. He then became CEO shortly after. So it was just a plan. It was just, they knew that he was about to be the CEO, but he was like, let me take baby steps. I don't know if I really want to do it, blah, 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 blah. And then he just came in and started cutting everybody's head off because that's what Steve Jobs does. Now back to Apple. He returns as CEO. He fired a lot of people. You gotta go. And gathered the company to ask them, what do we need? What do we really need? And what did Steve Jobs say when he looked at the products? He goes, these products suck. There's no sex in them anymore. Put sex back in the product. So what does that tell you? What does that tell you? Steve Jobs was having sex with the prototypes of his computers. That's what that honestly tells you, is that this guy was sticking his dick in 1970s, 80s mainframes of computers and really just coming all over the hardwire because he's a lunatic. And that's why people get famous and wealthy is when they're Looney Tunes. So what does he do? Here's another thing. For as big as the ego of Steve Jobs might have been, he's kind of one of those things where if you can't beat him, join him type thing. Rather than making Microsoft his main enemy, he says, why don't we work together? And he got Microsoft to work with Apple to create more products that the everyday user would enjoy. They combine. First thing he does, creates the iMac. Everybody remembers the iMac, and unless you're under 18, everybody knows the iMac. And this got people talking about Apple again, the new design, the aesthetics, everything was in the headlines. Their marketing machine is back. It looks good. It feels good. It smells good. And Steve Jobs said it fucks good. So they got more money.